Hello, everyone. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I'm Stephanie Bacon, your town administrator. Thanks for coming to our little mock town meeting. I guess years ago this was done and it was called the Little Town Meeting. We changed it up a bit, but that's all right. We're getting futuristic. We're here tonight just to make sure that all of our residents understand the articles. They're able to ask the questions that they need answers to. Oh, sorry. I'm a loudmouth. In order to have the information that's required for town meeting to make the best vote that they can possibly make, being knowledge-based. We want to get through the most important articles tonight. We have a total of 63 articles. We'll just be going over 35 tonight, not just, but it's a lot. But we think that's where most of the questions will surface from. What I'm going to do is introduce Fred George. He is our moderator. He's going to kick off tonight's festivities. And we have our town council, Jeff Blake, who's here with Connor. Connor, what's your last name? Connor Mullen from KP Law. All right, and without further ado, I just have one quick thing, sorry. I just want to thank Jen Bruno so much. She's the director of the library. She has created this amazing website of every article that's been discussed with meeting links underneath it, so it goes right to that point. So anything you want to know about town meeting, she has meticulously set up from Article 1 all the way through. Just go to her library page, northboroughlibrary.org, and it's right there on the home page. We, of course, in the town administrator's office will link it to our town page as well. There has been a lot of transparency. We are making sure that everyone sees what we're generating as live time as possible. So again, without further ado, Fred George, our moderator.
Thank you, Steph. There, that's a little bit better. Want to talk a little bit about how this meeting will run, what it's all about, and as far as the articles that we'll go through, as Stephanie said, we'll have about 35 articles, and we can go through those as if it were really town meeting, although we won't vote on anything. Okay? Some of the basic rules, we know them, but you know, you can't speak on the same thing twice. So people will have a time limit for what their questions or their presentation is all about, and then we'll move on to the next individual that wishes to make a comment or a statement. You have to get up and talk to the mic, no shouting from your seat. Opportunity, you'll be recognized, everyone will hear you, and we'll be able to make good progress that way. If there's a desire to make an amendment on a motion, we will have amendment forms so that we don't have to write on napkins or, you know, our hands or what have you. There'll be an opportunity to have a consistent manner of presenting the proposed amendments. If there's any disruption, the individual or individuals will receive a verbal warning, and then will be removed if the disruption continues. And there'll be not here tonight, but there'll be a demo of the clickers, how they work, what's going on with them, and make sure that everyone understands what they're all about. I ask that you keep your questions concise, and I will, monitor and control recognition. If you're not recognized, you shouldn't be speaking. And if we seem to be just meandering in our conversation or discussion, I will move us on so that we can get through the prescribed number of articles we want to cover. Now, section department heads.
Oh, I think we're ready. We're ready to get to the articles now.
Okay.
So we're going to start with Article 4.
Okay. We are starting with Article 4, okay? And you can read the article itself. I won't read that.
Can we do a consent agenda on this, Articles 4 through 6, since they're all White Cliff?
Okay. Articles 4 through 6. Good.
You can go left and right on here so we can see the different articles.
Thank you. Article 4, Article 5, and Article 6. If we could band them together, and when we vote, we'll be voting on all 3 of those articles. Okay?
Oh, we're not voting tonight, but.
That's correct.
It's a practice, yeah. He's practicing.
I'm practicing, yes. So we're looking at Article 4, which is, where's that?
There we go.
Authorization to lease White Cliffs, subject to historic preservation, restriction, and enter into option to sell White Cliffs and reserve a right of refusal therein. Article 5, tax increment financing, TIF, for White Cliffs. And Article 6, hospitality overlay district, White Cliffs. So we can talk about it if there are any questions.
Yeah, do you want me to do a brief overview?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, so we'll start with Article 4. Article 4 authorizes the town to enter into a long-term lease up to 45 years, which is necessary in order to obtain federal, can you hear me? Okay, federal tax credits. With the proposer, Elegant Banquets, which they may change their name to something White Cliffs LLC, for the rehabilitation and reuse of White Cliffs as a wedding and events facility. This also includes an option for the developer to purchase the property in the future at a minimum price of $2.5 million, which after 8.5 years, there will be an escalator on top of that number if they choose not to purchase at that point. Importantly, the property will be subject to a historic preservation restriction, ensuring that the building is restored and maintained in accordance with state-approved standards. This structure allows the town to preserve a historic asset without taking on the significant cost of environmental remediation and rehabilitation, which brings me to the next article, which is the tax increment financing. The reason the town chose to do this type of tax abatement was because of the overhead costs that they're walking into. We have paint, we have asbestos, and we have mold within the White Cliffs. So it's millions of dollars. It's at least $2 million for that, never mind the millions in preserving. So we just thought it was the most fair thing to do. It's a temporary phase tax incentive on new value created by the project. It's designed to support the upfront investment required for environmental cleanup and historic restoration, which will total millions of dollars. With this type of tool, a project of the scale is unlikely to move forward. The town will benefit from increased property value, personal and real property taxation, meals tax, and lease payments until purchase. And then the last article for White Cliffs is the Hospitality Overlay District, which is zoning. Currently, the property is half residential, half business, so it would be rezoned to a new overlay, which is called the Hospitality Overlay District. This allows for appropriate uses such as events, dining, related hospitality functions while maintaining existing zoning requirements and requiring site plan and design review. So, taken together, all of these articles, we think it's a balanced approach. Right now, the building is in deterioration. It's, I would say, at the point that I saw it 8 years ago to now, it is significantly worse. So our first article, in order to purchase it years ago, I would say 12 or 13 years ago, it was for the fact that we wanted to maintain it as a historic presence in town. It's still beautiful. The wood is still amazing, and there's just such history behind it that, you know, the town decided that we would try to hold on to this property. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, Mr. Rappa. Oh, I'm being moderator. Would you please state your name and address?
John Rappa, 105 Weston Terrace. Just an observation, these three articles, 4 and 6 require a 2/3 majority vote, and 5 requires a simple majority. So lumping it together is, I presume, is a challenge.
Correct. I was just doing that tonight to save time, but you're right, absolutely.
Thank you.
So I guess my question is really to the moderator. Are we gonna do a consent calendar on these three articles? Is that what's?
No, just for tonight, just because I wanted to do one overview.
Okay.
We have a lot of articles, and we have about 2 hours to do them in.
Anne Marie Robinson, 250 Wall Street. Just wondered why the zoning change was required, since it was once a restaurant and then area, then venue.
We just thought it was the most logical step to make, given that, oh, Lori, she's our town planner.
Hi.
Hi.
So the reason why we had to amend the zoning is because the business, the building itself is located in the residential C district, which means that pretty much the only use you can have is like a single-family home or a duplex. So the prior use of the event venue predated zoning. So the first part of the property, the front half, is in the business east district. Zoning expires if a use isn't maintained for a period of 2 years or more. So it stopped operating as an event venue in 2014. So the prior zoning expired in 2016.
Fran Bastrand, 76 Cedarhill Road. I just have a question on, because there was a lot of conversation about the historic preservation restriction and the town owning the building versus selling the building and leasing. Has that been resolved through the contract process?
Yes, right now we're working with the Northborough Historical Society, so we're hoping they will be the deed holder. There's still some investigation that they need to do on their part. But yes, that allows us to still maintain our ownership, have someone hold the deed so it's not a conflict of interest, and the plan is to have a separate outside consultant come and do an annual review of the White Cliffs. So that was too much for them to do. There's a lot of expertise involved and a lot of accounting and things they need to keep inventory of. You're welcome.
Probably
probably you don't have it tonight, but by town meeting, will you have a contract that everybody will be able to take a look at?
Tomorrow morning, it'll be online. I just sent it to the Financial Committee, Appropriations, and the Select Board, of course, have it. Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, I think we can move on then to, do you want to come up?
We're going to 7 next.
Article 5,
Ooh.
yeah.
This-
Yep.
to-
Oh, no, nope, sorry. No, I'm sorry, Article 7.
okay.
8.
There's no prior year bill.
8. Yeah,
All right.
yep, that's good.
And it's obviously the town budget, and our finance director will give us an overview.
So, premature, I'm going to hit escape on the computer to get into the presentation. And Town Administrator Stephanie Bacon is going to begin the presentation tonight.
Slide 2, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so nobody can say that we didn't start this budget process early. We started in July. So it began with the capital budget manual being distributed with a July 25th due date. On August 26th, we held the financial summit at the library. We discussed department operations, projected budgets, level fund versus level service scenarios. The 5-year projections were confirmed. Proposition 2.5 levy capacity would be exhausted in fiscal year '27, using even the modest of assumptions, leading to an ongoing discussion of tax impact of operating budgets and capital needs. The Financial Planning Committee, who's responsible for our capital items, began meeting on September 2nd, 2025. Oh, did it change? No. There we go. The fall 2025 special town meeting that was called to decide the outcome of White Cliffs was postponed until this upcoming town meeting, April 27th. There were discussions with the Select Board in November of 2025 regarding the fiscal year 25 certified free cash results, the fiscal year 26 tax rate, and our proposed fiscal year 27 budget policy, setting a 2.9% constraint on budgets, or we would be looking at a Prop 2.5% override. Operating budgets instructions were distributed to the departments on December 3rd. The finance director and I met individually with all departments. An operating budget gap was identified following the school budget overview due to the special education expenses, as well as finding out about health insurance premium spikes. At this point, we updated the select board that we were left with a $1.44 million budget gap, and that was in January. We whittled the budget down to $1.3 million in February, and the select board voted to allocate $700,000 from free cash and focus on reducing that $633,000 that were remaining from a combination of sources, such as pay-as-you-throw, our solid waste program, local receipts, OPEB, which is, oh, sorry. Yep. Oop. Is that it? Yep. OPEB, other post-employment benefits. The Financial Planning Committee met over 10 times to go over capital requests as well as the White Cliff articles, finalizing recommendations in early March. The Appropriations Committee, who oversees our operating budgets, also met over 10 times prior to the joint meeting with the Select Board, which was on March 23rd, where balanced budget numbers were finalized. Final adjustments were made and presented to the Select Board April 6th, who executed the town meeting warrant and the town election on April 9th. And here we are tonight at our mock town meeting. Okay, so to recap, drum roll, please. We have a balanced fiscal year 27 budget. We have no override. I'll repeat, no override. Property tax increase is within Prop 2.5 using excess levy capacity. 975,000 was used. We have 305,000 remaining. To balance the budget, again, we use $700,000 additional free cash beyond the originally planned $500,000. We reduced the OPEB trust fund contribution from the normal $600,000 to $300,000. Solid waste enterprise revenue budget increased $187,000, giving us the ability to reduce the equivalent amount from the general fund subsidy. Local receipts were budgeted at $5.6 million, which is an increase of 10%. This complies with the town's financial policies for debt and reserves, not for free cash, because we use that $700,000, the additional monies. All right, I think at this point, I'm gonna turn it over to Jason, and I would just say, he has been amazing. He is just a star in my eyes and everyone else's eyes, and thank you so much for all you've done.
Hopefully, I won't let you down with this part of the
No,
presentation.
you won't.
but-
No.
Thanks, Steph. I appreciate it. All right, so some more highlights. I'm going to talk about the budget in general before getting into Article 8, which just covers the town's budget appropriation. So for FY27, the expenses increased 5.5 million overall, or 6.46. What does that include? It includes the education budgets, which increase in total 3.2 million to $50.8 million, or it's a net increase of 6.64. I'm not going to talk in depth about this. The superintendent's here tonight to talk about the K-8 and the Algonquin regional budgets. Those will be Article 9, Article 10, and Article 11 for the three school budgets. The town budget increases 2 million to 6.4%. And there's a net total of free cash funded capital articles and debt excluded debt, increasing a net of 0.4 million. I'm an accountant, so doing the math, that's where you get to 5.5 million. The effective rounding's another 0.1 to get to 5.5. So hopefully people can see this, but if you had an opportunity to pick up your town meeting warrant book, I'd refer you to pages 56 and 57 of the warrant book that lists out in detail the town's budget, if you want to look at that to follow along. So first, let me just explain on that page, on page 57, it explains kind of the difference between what we talk about, the town budget being 6.4%, and then there being a different number in the in Article 8 that's going to appropriate 32 million, a slightly different number. So you can see where those numbers come from at the bottom of that. It's a slightly different number. And I just going to spend some time talking about the other numbers that are with it before getting into talking about town departments. I'm going to talk about some of the other items that are within the town's budget that are mostly sometimes referred to as fixed costs, but some of the biggest budget drivers this cycle around. So first of all is the Worcester Regional Retirement Assessment. That increased $354,000 or 10.54% to $3.72 million. This is the town's retirement plan or pension system. It's a multi-employer plan that we belong to. It's the Worcester Regional Retirement System, and there's over 101 governmental units that belong to that. The funding plan is expected to be fully funded by 2036. It's regulated by a state agency called PARAC, and we expect another 10% increase in this budget annually as a result of getting to that funding plan. It's important to note that the overall amount that we get assessed and we're required to pay this amount is $3.72 million, but the normal cost is $866,000. And what is normal cost? That's the administrative cost for running the program and the cost of the current employees that are employed today. So, again, it's been described as this in the past, but I don't necessarily like the terminology, but it's really the sins of the past. Employees now are self-funding basically their pension by their assessments that their withholdings that come out of their paycheck. So they pay a higher percentage than employees in the past had paid. So starting in '96, people pay 9% plus 2%. Am I right, Mike? Thanks. 2% over what you make of 30,000. I knew Mike would know that. So the town share of the total liability is $35 million. So over the next, until 2036, the town will be hoping for investment income growth within the retirement system through these assessments. And 35 million is the amount that will have to be funded by 2036 for the town to be fully funded within the system. So the other big cost driver this year was health insurance, and health insurance overall increased 1.2 million or 16%, and it's now $8.76 million within the town's budget. So I think Steph talked a little bit about the process that we went through this year of working with a consultant. We went through an RFP we're a member of a JPA, joint purchase arrangement, with the towns of Southborough and the regional school district. And we were looking at a higher increase this year. This follows last year's increase that many people, I won't give people the whole journey, but it went from 12% to 25% to down to be lucky to have 17.99%. So this year, we decided to go out for an RFP for health insurance consulting. We hired a new consultant through that process, and so we started in the fall working on our renewal with seeing what our options were for the current year. We ended up with a 12.44% premium increase. And why isn't our budget only going up 12.44%? But our enrollment in the plan is also up. So we have 316 plans this year versus 286 last year. So that's approximately 10% growth. So what are we doing? One move that we made was to introduce a voluntary health savings account, high deductible health plan option for 2027. So the savings are to be determined. It's voluntary whether people choose to enroll in that or not. So that's coming out. We're currently working on our open enrollment paperwork. I think Lisa, our treasurer collector, got that out today. I think that information went out to employees today. So we'll see. I mean, we're trying to entice people to make mutually beneficially cost savings choices for themselves with health insurance. And hopefully there'll be some savings that amass from that. So within the 8.76 million, retiree coverage accounts for about 1.3 million of the total. And if we were to split this with town and school employees, the cost is approximately 30% town employees and 70% school employees within the plan for the K-8 district. So another element that's closely tied to health insurance is our OPEB trust fund contribution. So we've maintained that at $300,000. Right now, our trust fund balance is $8.9 million. We've made sizable contributions to the trust fund over the years, being on a short time frame. Starting in, I think, 2015 was the first year we made a contribution to the trust fund. So there's been sizable growth within that, and it's the power of accruing investment returns. We've have this invested with the state's PRIT fund, and the state's PRIT fund manages billions of dollars for the state retirement system. So we've had really good investment returns within this trust fund. So our actuarial liability that gets calculated every year for our financial statements per one of the GASB statements is $41.7 million. I mean, 41.7 million. So our amount of funding is 21% at this point. And so of the 8.9 million, I want to point out that 5.1 million is the town's contributions and the rest is investment growth. And this is a slide here talking about some of the changes, and I'm not going to go through these, but this is really indicating there's been a change in the health insurance market and the costs, and it's really a different world than we had faced in the past. The town has always actively taken a role in trying to propose changes, plan design changes, and other ideas to keep the renewals low in the town's health insurance budget, realizing that a large swing could be a very difficult thing to fund in future years. As you can see, leading up to 2025, one of the most significant plan design changes was at the beginning was requiring retirees that are eligible for Medicare to enroll in Medicare and adopt a senior plan that would be much less costly for the town rather than being on the town's active HMO. That resulted in a 0.72% increase in that year. I wish we had that this year, but we don't. It's going up through those years. It was an average over that period of time of 2.8%. So 17%, you can see how unusual that was for us to have to fund that. And again, 27, we're offering the high deductible HSA plan option following this. And so we're considering working through the process of deductibles, working with the town's employee bargaining groups. All right, so on the town side, the town's budget, how many employees are covered, how many employees does the town have? This is a table that lays out the town's positions that are covered by the budget. It's not a perfect table. I would want to point out that within the 136, we didn't grow from 119 to 136 overnight, but that 136 number includes the 8 SAFER funded firefighters that are within that number, and then it also includes positions that are within DPW. There's 6.5 FTEs within DPW that are funded by the enterprise funds. So basically, the town's budget, when we get to that, which we will get to shortly, I promise, there's 121 town FTEs that are paid for through the general fund. So another piece of our fixed costs, so to speak, is the debt budget. The debt budget is only going up $56,000 in total, or 1.24%. That's a result of declining debt schedules. Every year, the issued debt declines in cost as interest goes down, as the overall principal's paid off. So increases. There's also that's net of increases for previously authorized unissued debt. So we've estimated a cost for remaining costs related to the fire station construction project. So that's an amount net of the bid savings that have been realized and the energy rebates that are expected. We need to issue debt for a fire truck resulting from a 2024 article, and the Peaslee School feasibility, which was a 2024 article as well. We have a statutory debt limit, that's state law, that says how much debt that the town can issue. The good news is we're not anywhere close to that limit. It's $227 million, and our overall debt is in the $40 million neighborhood, including stuff that's including debt that's not within the debt limit. There's also a local debt policy limit that is promulgated through the town locally, and that is a limit of we do not want debt service within the annual budget to exceed 10% of the general fund's budget. So currently, that's at 6.26%. And for the purposes of the policy, we do a projection out into the future, looking at our existing debt going out, our unissued and unissued authorized debt. The debt policy also takes into account something called overlapping debt that's in the middle of this table. And what overlapping debt is, it's debt that is owed by the school districts, basically, that we'd be responsible for paying a share of. There's a projection here at the high end for the Peaslee construction project, and a projection for the Z roof. So to get to a total amount of the debt, we took the general fund's budget and made an assumption of increasing it 4% a year, just to see where the debt policy guidelines. And what this analysis shows is that when a significant project like the Peaslee construction project comes online, there won't be a lot of other capacity within this limit for the town to consider other debt-funded items. So that's basically the purpose of this, is to say that, you know, the town will really need to focus on limiting its debt burden in order to consider a large project like the Peaslee construction project that's going to be talked about. So this slide here, again, this mirrors the budget model that is in the town meeting book. So this is leading into me. I'm going to talk a little bit about the first number on the line, which is the town departments. And I'm pleased to announce, and I think Steph said it too, but the town departments are going up a total of 0.49%. As a result of the constraints that were put before them. This budget's level service funded budgets, and we'll get into some of the individual increases in a moment. But again, I'm not going backwards in the presentation. It's the same slide as before if anybody's paying attention. But my point now is I want to get into talking about the $17 million, which are all of the town budgets. All right, so within the town budgets, what's inside that? So there's general government departments, and again, you can follow along in the town meeting book because each one is individually laid out. But there's appropriations that are controlled by the administrative office. Those add up to $1.1 million. Those include the select board appropriation, town administrator, economic development. There's a central office supply purchase appropriation, and that also includes town hall utilities, personnel, town council, and very smaller divisions within the administrative offices that they control. There's the MIS GIS budget, that's $901,000. There's the finance department, that's $1.1 million, and that includes the 3 divisions of accounting, treasurer, collector, and assessing. There's the town clerk elections, which is $260,000 in total, and then the planning and conservation appropriations that add up to $342,000. So overall, general government is up 0.47% or $17,000 in total for the increases. All right, so what else is within that? Public safety. Public safety is the largest category within the 17 million. Public safety is 6.82 million, or 40% of the total. So that includes the police department, 3.7 million. The fire department, their budget is 2.7 million, and it's important to note that some of the general fund departments, and we'll get into this when we talk about the revenue, but one of the smallest pieces of the general fund revenue picture is the transfers. So the fire department, and if you look at the article language, it includes a transfer. So this budget's 2.7 total, but it's being underwritten with a $435,000 transfer from the ambulance revolving fund. The inspectional services department, that's $302,000. That includes the building, gas, plumbing inspector, and the wire electrical inspector. There's also a sealer weights and measures appropriation for $18,000. There's not truly a department, it's a state contract that we have to fulfill that service. And then as well, there's an animal control budget. It's $45,000, but that's a contractual service. And it's important to note animal control that's underwritten with a $34,000 transfer from the revolving fund for animal control. So overall, public safety is up 2.3% over the prior year, or $155,000. So also within 17.1 million is public works. Public works is $4.05 million, and it's 23.7% of the total. So This is one of the reasons for the town's budget, at one of the last budget adjustments. The town's advocated for many years, almost every year that I've been here, for increasing the Chapter 90 funding from the state to be able to fulfill its pavement management plan of funding $1.1 million of road repairs every year. The state has finally, I think, successful legislative activity through the cities and towns, pushed the state government to commit to funding a higher level, $300 million versus $200 million statewide. So that means that we were able to reduce $247,000 from the construction and maintenance budget of the DPW. And then another key point is that the LED streetlight project is projecting that we can cut the energy use from the streetlights by $65,000. So those are two notable items within Public Works. And so overall, Public Works is down by $150,000 or down 3.6%. Human Services is another category that totals $876,000 or 5.1% of the total. Health and Human Services, there's a $437,000 budget for Health and Human Services. There's a counselor position that's underwritten with a $20,000 transfer from opioid funds. So this department also relies on state and federal grants outside of the general fund for funding some of its positions. So that's not included within the $437,000. Council on Aging, the building that we're in tonight, is their total budget is $339,000. And this department doesn't rely on a transfer in every year, but it relies on its revolving fund for ongoing expenses. The town has a contract with the WRTA to conduct a transportation program, and also as you can see, there's a kitchen here. There's a fairly robust bistro program that's run through the senior center and operates through its revolving fund. That's not reflected within the $339,000 budget. Lastly, Veteran Services. We're part of a four-town veterans district that's covered by an intergovernmental agreement. So our veterans agent is not a town employee, it's a town of Grafton employee, but that is an arrangement that's been working very well for all of the four towns. So the town, this also includes $60,000 of veterans benefits within this appropriation. So the town will be reimbursed in the next year in its unrestricted state aid for 75% of the benefits it's paid that are qualified. So that's important to understand as well. So overall, Human Services is up $21,000 or 2.5%. Lastly, what's within town departments? Culture and Recreation, that total budget's $1.55 million or 9.1% of the total. So included in this category is the Northborough Media Connection, which was formerly Northborough Cable or the cable budget. Their total budget is $251,000. It's underwritten with a $201,000 transfer from the Cable Receipts Reserve Fund. So that's another one of the funding sources, part of the transfers into the general fund. The library, $1.1 million. Recreation Department, $184,000. And again, it's another, and I want to point out, this budget is underwritten with a $103,000 transfer from the Recreation Revolving Fund. And then lastly, this category includes an appropriation for the Cultural Council, Community Affairs Committee, and the Historical Commission at $1,000 each. So overall, Culture Recreation categories up $39,000 or 2.6%. So again, I just want to conclude on the $17.1 million town department budget with pointing out that each department is a separate appropriation under the care of the department head. So taking all of their budgets and combining them together, it's roughly 12.2 million of the 17 or 70% is payroll costs, so it's salary and wages for the town department employees. So within that 12.2, taking it altogether, and looking at the individual lines, 731,000 of that is budgeted overtime, and 578,000 is public safety education incentives. So those are some large pieces that are outside of just base wages that employees are paid. And then 4.82 million, the balance of that number of the 17.1, and 30% are expenses. So 470,000 within that are utility costs for the town buildings, so that's a large category of costs. So the town buildings include the town offices, the library, the senior center that we're in tonight, the police station, fire station, and the DPW garage. So as noted at the beginning of the presentation, the town has what's called a free cash plan, which is set out as budget policy at the beginning of the budget process. This has changed slightly with the reallocation of $700,000, but this is what the town certified $5.254 million of free cash is being used for. It's being proposed $3.729 is being used for the capital plan. $175,000 is to fund the annual appropriations reserve fund. Zero is being transferred to stabilization. That's left in here because typically we do make a stabilization transfer. Special purpose stabilization, zero is proposed for that as well. And we're applying $1.2 million to the operating budget. So that leaves $150,000 unused from free cash to roll over to the next year or potentially be used. The stabilization balance that the town has is $6.74 million. So as was noted at the beginning of the presentation, we're within our reserve policy with that alone. That's 7.38% of the $91.3 million budget. If you add that small amount of free cash, it's 7.55. And so I'm going to go briefly. There's not as much to talk about with revenue, thankfully, so I'm going to go through this quickly. I don't know how I'm doing for time. But tax receipts, that's 80% of the town's budget is our tax receipts. Those are proposed to increase 4.4%, or $3.09 million to $73.12 million. New growth is estimated at $30 million of value. That's amounts to $444,600 in revenue, and then the debt exclusions amount to $4.68 million. State aid, that's the second largest piece of the revenue puzzle. That increases 2.95%, or $190,541 to $6.66 million. Local receipts, those were pushed to, those increased 10.39%. by $527,000. Now we're expecting $5.6 million from the local receipt sources. Free cash, 5.6% uses 5.1 million of the 5.25 certified, and then the transfers that you laid out in detail, 0.9%, $843,000 is $711 is the total of the transfers that are used to underwrite town departments. So this is what the revenues look like in a pie chart. Again, tax receipts, the largest source of revenue for the town. And this is the balanced budget. So this is the same total, but this is where it's proposed to go. And these pie charts are in the town meeting book if I went through them too quick. All right, so I just want to lay out the formula for how we can estimate the estimated tax impact, and I want to make a big disclaimer that these are estimates only. We don't know how much values are going to go up in the fall, and then the numbers are going to be determined in the fall when the state approves our values and the tax rate is set next fall. But this is a prediction. Single-family homes now, the average is 705,851. That's the current number. We're estimating those will increase 5% for FY27. So that would go to a tax impact. We would calculate a tax impact on a $741,000 valued home. So the total tax base is $4.73 billion, and we're estimating that increases 5% as well to $4.96 billion for FY '27. So the tax impact to an average single-family home of $741,000. We take our levy, 73.12 million, times 1,000, divided by 4.96 billion, and that's the formula to get the tax rate. Take the single-family home, estimated single-family home value times that tax rate. That's an estimated tax bill of $10,922. And the current average single-family tax bill is $10,461. So doing the math, and I promise I double-checked it this time, it's along the lines of 4.4%. Another way to estimate tax impact is just how much is the tax levy going up? 4.4%. So $462 is what the estimated impact is, or 4.4%, same as the amount the levy is projected to increase. So some quick statistics when you're looking at impacts of things. Basically, we know what our tax base is. So basically, you would take the tax base divided by $100,000 to get to what would affect it by 1 cent. And these are my secrets of how I do, if somebody were to ask me what the tax impact for something is off the top of my head. Basically, $50,000 of new revenue or new expenses would increase the tax rate by 1 cent, and new alternative revenues would decrease it by 1 cent. So that's a magnitude of $50,000 of budget capacity. And the impact of that on a $741,000 home is $7.41 for each one of those cents. So $50,000 equates to an impact of $7.41. And I'm going to talk briefly about the capital plan. This presentation is focused on Article 8, which is the town budget, but there's going to be articles coming forward, and we did talk about the free cash plan, which is funding the capital. These are the capital articles, and then categorized by the funding sources. So in total, the capital plan this year is considering $11.4 million of projects. And this is how it breaks down if you wanted to look at it in a pie chart. And free cash is a large component on the side here. And again, as we talked about, the town has put together and has started working early, started in July with its capital plan, and has put together a 10-year capital plan that it looks at its needs in upcoming years. So over those 10 years, there's $220 million of capital items in the capital plan. So assumptions to consider: not all of the $220 million that's been proposed are going to be funded with general fund resources. There's enterprise fund projects, so we'd subtract those. Some projects that would be assumed to be requests from the CPA, that's identified $3.8 million of projects. Ambulances would be purchased with ambulance revolving funds. That's $1.3 million. Probably not going to embark on the 4 West Main Street building projects, given the disposition of that building. So it subtracts another $1.7 million. Assuming MSBA's share of the Z roof at $2.6 million, subtract that. Assume the Z project's approved, then assume the rest of the 27 capital plans approved as it's currently funded. Subtract out the Peasley School project that's in the capital plan as a placeholder at the high end of $120 million. And that leaves approximately $80 million of other capital to consider over the next 10 years. So again, 27, these are my closing comments, so I'm not going to go on for much longer. 27 represents a challenging budget cycle. There's additional efforts had to be made to avoid an operating override this year. The town department's operating budgets were minimized at 0.5% overall without staffing cuts. It maintains overall compliance with the town's policies in order to maintain our bond rating, given the the large size of these upcoming two projects that we've considered in the debt projections. So again, override status in FY '28 and beyond remains in question. It's obvious that we are close to the levy limit at $300,000 being left, and additional measures are going to be required. So future policy decisions are going to need to be made. Free cash to use to navigate without an override for FY '27. Additional free cash was used. So do we know how much is going to be available in FY '28? We don't know that yet. We won't know that probably until, have a good sense of that till July. We'll need to carefully consider the path forward and continue working together. There's been a tremendous amount of effort of hearing out these items, doing the summits in the summer to set a table for the budget over the year, and then working with the free cash plan in the fall with the select board and having a clear set of budget guidelines in the fall. Working through the appropriations and the financial planning to consider all of the articles and financial planning that's being done. So also I'll just end with the capital plan is definitely going to need to be prioritized, and we'll need to concentrate on limiting debt if we want to consider some of the larger projects. And so we'll likely not be able to consider all of the $80 million projects over the next 10 years. And that's my conclusion. Any questions?
Were we gonna?
Yes. It's obvious we're gonna have, Susan Sartori, 465 Green Street. We're gonna have some real troubles next year trying to decide what to do with resources. My question is health insurance. The school department, the teachers, the people in the school department pay what percentage of their health insurance versus the municipal side?
The teachers and the school department are 75-25% is the cost share. The town pays 75% and the employees pay 25%. While there is a disparity with the town employees pay 30% and the town funds 70%. So.
And I saw that the schools take up 75% of the costs of the health insurance.
70, yeah.
70. Is there any chance next year to have any kind of negotiations with the bargaining units to try to bring those numbers?
Yeah, I don't know if that point is going to work, but we're going to be working with the bargaining units on plan design at the very least.
Well, I encourage you to all put your heads together and maybe try.
Yeah.
to
So, looking at this, the last time the cost share was adjusted was back in I believe it's 2012.
Yeah,
That was
5%,
the 5%. So it went from 80-20 to 75-25.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I think it was on slide 21. I just want to ask about the utilities for the town-owned buildings, because you listed this one and a few others.
Mhm.
When we are successful in disposing of White Cliffs and 4 West Main, I would assume there is some amount of utility cost to maintain those buildings now that we may actually see we would then see a savings.
Well, there would be a savings. To this date, the White Cliffs has been funded through its the CPA article, so that it won't be a direct savings to the general fund. Likewise, the utility bills for 4 West Main have been covered by the rental fund. There's a rental revolving fund covering that building where the office that is paying the dental office, plus there's cell towers on the roof. Those have been funding the operating expenses for that building.
All right, great, thank you.
Oh, I think we.
So we just finished 8?
Yes, full screen for you.
There you go, Fred.
Thank you. Steph? Thank you. Okay, Article 9 is the Northborough Pre-K 8 school budget, and I believe we have a quick presentation for that one? Yes. If the superintendent would come forth? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Becky Pellegrino. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Finance. We don't have a formal presentation, but I am prepared to address the FY27, the K through 8 budget, as well as Algonquin. Well, I guess we're just on the K through 8 right now, so the K through 8 budget for Northborough. The FY27 budget that has been approved by the school committee is a $32,076,841 million budget. It is a 6.96% increase over fiscal year '26. And as part of that budget, while it is a level services budget, we do also have a reduction of 7.4 FTEs as part of this process. The main reason for this increase, there are 4 line items that are really driving the FY27 budget. The first is special education transportation. The second is special education out-of-district tuition. And the third is special education collaborative tuition. Those 3 lines in total represent 58% of the increase on the operational budget. And then the remaining amounts are contractual obligations in the forms of salaries to our staff. When we looked at our operational budget, we have worked over, as Stephanie mentioned, we started this process last summer. And so as part of this process, we have already reduced over $2 million to get down to the budget that we're presenting to the town. Part of that offset is applying fiscal year 2026 circuit breaker money. Circuit breaker money is provided to the district through the state. It is for special education costs. We are reimbursed 75% of special education costs for our expenses in FY25, and we are applying that money towards the FY27 budget. So that reduction was almost $750,000. And so that is in addition to the special education costs that are included in the operational budget. We are also proposing to use $100,000 of the FY27 circuit breaker money. So in total, we are applying $850,000 of circuit breaker money to offset this budget. In addition to the 7.4 FTEs, we have also looked at all of our line items and have made reductions in our supplies, our materials, curriculum resources, and technology, as well as our transportation costs. So as I said, those reductions total over $2 million. So in total, the increase for this budget is $2,086,899. And the FY27 voted budget was $32,076,841. I welcome any questions on the pre-K through 8 budget. No questions. Just stay up here for the next one.
Yes. Okay. Article 10, Algonquin Regional High School budget.
Okay, thank you very much. So the fiscal year '27 school committee voted budget for the regional district is $31,416,287, which is a 5.81% increase. Again, it is a level service budget. However, there are 5.5 FTEs being reduced as part of this, and this is in addition to 1.8 reductions that were included in FY26's budget. Just like I pointed out in the last budget, our budget drivers are special education transportation, out-of-district tuition, and then also collaborative tuition. Those three line items, along with our health insurance increases, total about 60% of the increase on the FY27 budget. And then the remaining amount is, again, the collective bargaining and our contractual obligations. With this budget, we have also applied the fiscal year 26 circuit breaker funds. That amount is $724,353, and we are also applying FY27 circuit breaker in the amount of $100,000. So again, we are utilizing those circuit breaker funds to offset special education costs that are not part of this budget. The reductions that we've also taken in this budget, again, we have reduced over $2 million since the start of this budget process. It includes the 5.5 FTEs, as well as looking at those same line items that we made reductions to in the K through 8 budget. The other piece of the assessment is the capital assessment. And so we are proposing 6 projects as part of the capital projects, and those total $477,000. Northborough's portion of that assessment is $292,210. And then finally, Jason mentioned some of the debt for the regional district. FY27 is the last year that we will have the debt assessment for the renovation at Algonquin, so that this will be coming off the books for FY28. Also in FY27, we are going out for our permanent financing for the athletic complex. We have been paying bond anticipation notes over the past 2 years. So this will now be a permanent financing going forward. So the total assessment for the town of Northborough is $17,121,521. That includes the operational budget, the debt, as well as the capital assessment, and that is a 7.68% increase over fiscal year 26. And again, I welcome any questions on the regional budget. Okay, thank you. Too many numbers.
Okay, Article 12, Water and Sewer Enterprise Funds.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Almost called you Mockerator. Mr. Mockerator. I'm Scott Charpentier, Public Works Director. I'm here to talk about our enterprise funds. First will be water and sewer, Articles 12 and 13. And the next one is solid waste, Article 14. So the water, sewer, and solid waste enterprise funds are authorized by state statute. They provide separate accounting and financial mechanisms for each of the municipal services that are provided for a fee. This allows the municipality to demonstrate to the public the portion of operating costs that are recovered through user charges and the portion that's subsidized by taxes, if there is any. Article 12, the water and sewer enterprise funds are first. So on the water enterprise fund, on average, the town of Northborough uses about 900,000 gallons of water per day. It's purchased entirely from the MWRA. Our water system includes an interconnection with the authority and 2 water storage tanks, and we have 4 inactive groundwater source wells. The water service provides water to 80% of the town, and the remaining properties are served by their own on-site private wells. The water budget is 100% supported by the user fees and the water rates. There is no tax subsidy associated with the Water Enterprise Fund. So the proposed budget for FY '27 is $3,140,623. That represents a 4.6% increase, or approximately $133,000 over FY '26. This increase is attributed to three primary factors. One, like everybody else has said, the increase of healthcare costs. All of the costs associated with healthcare and insurance is, for the Water Sewer Enterprise Fund employees, is covered by those funds, none by the taxes. There's also an annual increase to the MWRA. We get an annual assessment from the authority for how much water we buy wholesale that we then sell retail. And our debt payments have increased approximately $60,000 for the coming fiscal year. In addition to that, we have new contractual labor agreements, which has affected the operating budget. The debt increases are primarily due to recent construction projects that were completed. We did a rehabilitation of the Assabet Hill water storage tank, and last year, utility bridge replacements were approved, and those short-term borrowings will be hitting in FY '27. We expect revenue for '26 to be about where we projected it. FY '27, we expect revenue to decrease slightly. We project a decrease in usage every year due to continuation of conservation mechanisms. Everybody buys a shower head today, it flows less water than the one they're replacing, so we're selling less water, therefore our revenue goes down. As such, in order to maintain an adequate fund balance, meet the contractual obligations, as well as address a loss of revenue, we're projecting a modest rate increase. Typically, they're between 3% and 5%, and we expect that to occur again in FY '27. So the Sewer Enterprise Fund. The town is serviced by approximately 30% of Northborough is served by the municipal sewer system. The rest is all on-site septics. The collection system includes 9 pump stations, and we discharge all of our flow to the City of Marlborough's Westerly Wastewater Treatment Plant. We recently settled our intermunicipal agreement 2 years ago. FY '27 will be the first full year under that agreement. So FY '26 and '25 have been partially applied to the IMA. So our projections going forward with the Marlborough Sewer Treatment Assessment is increasing about $150,000. We won't know that actual number until the fiscal year end flows are finally calculated. The proposed budget for FY '27 is $3,019,288. That represents about a 5.5% increase, or $156,000 over FY '26. Of that 156, like I said, 150 goes toward Marlborough. There are contractual increases, but it's not impacting our budget quite as much because we have a lot of debt falling off, which is providing some relief to the rate payers. Again, our sewer revenue is directly proportionate to our water revenue. You use a gallon of water, we charge you for a gallon of sewer. So as you use less water, we sell less sewer service. So we project another rate increase, generally in that 3 to 5% range. That's typical for the industry. Those rate increases are performed through a detailed rate analysis study we do after the fiscal year ends in July. It's generally conducted in August and September, with the rates hearing occurring in October and becoming effective late October. Are there any questions on water sewer enterprise funds, water sewer users? No? We have one more enterprise fund. It's a solid waste enterprise fund. It's a pay-as-you-throw program. Jason touched on a little bit on the revenue side during the budget discussion. The solid waste manages all of the town's trash, recycling, yard waste, and hazardous waste disposal. There's basically 3 large contracts under this budget. One is for the collection of solid waste and recycling. A second is disposal of the solid waste, and a third is processing of the recycling materials. Each one of those contracts has their own built-in annual escalator. The total FY '27 budget is $1,413,182. It represents a $61,000 or 4.5% increase from last year. Again, the vast majority of that is directly associated with our contractual obligations. We did increase the line item for yard waste disposal by $20,000 this year, which actually equals what it was in '26. We're done with our yard waste collection. The in FY '26, the select board voted to increase the bag prices by $1 effective FY '27, July 1. That increased the solid waste revenue by about 50%, so we've transferred $187,000 from tax subsidy to the revenue side in the solid waste program. It's similar to what our peer communities are doing. We're all going through the same thing when it goes to trash. If you look at Grafton, their bags are going up. Other communities are starting pay-as-you-throw. It's just an industry need right now. That, again, is going to go into effect July 1st. That's all I got about trash. No?
Article 18, yes. Senior tax relief. Jason?
All right, there's not a lot to offer with this article tonight. Annually, we have an article for senior tax relief, and the town endeavors to adopt every senior tax relief option available to it, enabled by Mass General Law. There were no new options this year. However, under this clause or this section of Mass General Law, the deferral program, we're required to set the income limit. And it's the maximum for that, the maximum income that would make a senior eligible to participate in the deferral program is the senior circuit breaker. So annually, we will at least have to come back and increase the income limit through this article. So this article will likely appear every year, and all it's proposing to do is increase the eligibility for seniors to participate in the deferral program. Concludes my presentation. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much. Article 19, capital improvement projects. This article is with the police department. Cruiser replacements. Chief, you're on.
Just, there you go.
Okay.
Guess that's me. Hello, everyone. I'm Brian Griffin, the police chief, and I'm told town meeting's going to go as quick in 2 weeks as it's going right now. That's what I'm hearing. So thank you. Every year, the police department comes before town meeting voters requesting cruiser replacements. It's essential that we adhere to our cruiser replacement schedule. Each year, we come before the voters to ask for either 2 or 3 police vehicles. This is the 3rd straight year that I'm, not only, I don't like that word, but I'm asking for 2 cruisers. The reason being, last year, the various committees asked if I would be okay pushing off FY '26. It was supposed to be a 3 cruiser year. They asked if we could wait until FY '27. We thought that would work for us. One would think I would be back here asking for the 3 cruisers. We're doing okay. I will be back next year asking for the 3 cruisers. But looking at the big picture, the finances in the town, we've been able to push our cruisers a little harder, if you will. What I mean by that is, in our past, our replacement schedule was based on a 4 to 5 year or 100,000 mile replacement schedule. Because we're taking out extended warranties on these vehicles at 5 years and 100,000 miles, and we take really good care of our vehicles, they're going longer, which is a good thing. We also have what I call our COVID cars. Our COVID cars for 2 years weren't driven a lot for obvious reasons. Although we were working, we weren't out necessarily proactively driving around so much. We were more of we would respond to calls. So anyways, this year, I'll be before the town meeting voters asking for the 2 cars. One vehicle is a police interceptor utility vehicle, also known as a Ford Explorer. So it looks like a Ford Explorer, but for the police, they just call it something different. But essentially, it's the same thing. So this vehicle is about $60,000, and then when we outfit it with radios, radios, lights, graphics, all sorts of things, computers, it's about another $20,000 to upfit those vehicles. This will replace a Chevy Tahoe, which is a 2020, so that's a 6-year-old vehicle. As I said, we used to replace them every 4 to 5 years. Now we're doing every 5 to 6 years. So this vehicle, the Tahoe, is at its end of useful life. It wouldn't be the end of most people's useful life, but for us, we find that as we're getting to that 100,000 mile range, it's best to replace them, as we'll start seeing issues with them that we don't want to have to pay for that wouldn't be covered under the warranty. The Chevys actually are not covered under the warranty. That's why I'm switching mostly to Ford products, because of the warranties they offer. The second vehicle would be a administrative vehicle or an unmarked vehicle. This is replacing a 2016, a 10-year-old Ford Escape, currently used by one of our detectives. This is a vehicle that is on an 8 to 10 year replacement schedule, because these cars are your secondary cars, right? I mean, your ones that are lit with lights and graphics, those are the ones that we really need responding to emergency calls, not to dismiss the other vehicles. I drive an unmarked vehicle, and if there's an emergency, I'm going to. But our route cars are obviously critical. These are, second responding vehicles. The detectives will show up after the fact often. We currently have a Ford Escape. It's a little small. We're asking for a Ford Explorer this year, just to give them a little more room. They often are required to remove crime scene evidence from a crime scene and bring it back to the station or to the crime lab. And you'd be surprised what we might bring out of a business or a house. And the Escape's that Escape isn't cutting it, so we just need something a little bigger. So that is the cruiser replacement request. Article 20 is a taser replacement. So I've tried to find some stats, but roughly 85% of police departments in our country use tasers. Taser is owned by Axon, they're based in Arizona. Axon has the grasp on the market. I would say out of the 85% of police departments who use tasers, they're using the taser that is owned by Axon. So it's quite a monopoly. So they kind of set the price here. Unfortunately, they're not cheap. Our current tasers are about 7 years old. Industry recommends replacing them every 5 years. We currently have what's called the X2 taser. That's no longer being made, sold, or supported by Axon. So currently we have 3 or 4 tasers that are out of service for whatever reason, beyond replacement. They can't be fixed. So the proposal that I'll be asking in front of town meeting is that we purchase 24 tasers for all of our police officers, and they're going to be the X10. The X10 taser is what's out on the market right now. it is, it has a lot of positive to it. This is a less lethal piece of equipment that our officers carry. It's critical that we have this and that they work well. It's all about de-escalation. It's all about creating time, creating distance when we're dealing with volatile situations. This is a tool that often, by the sheer display of it, will de-escalate a situation. The X10 taser can be deployed at a distance of 45 feet. Again, creating distance, so that's about half, from me to half the room back there. Our current tasers are only about a 25-foot distance, so that's a greater distance. Our current tasers, the X2s, shoot 2 probes. The X10 can shoot 10 probes. The X2 taser, when you want to give a warning before deploying, again, 9 out of 10 times, the simple display of it gathers compliance, which is great. The X10 has a warning flashing light and a siren to help de-escalate the situation. Hopefully we don't have to actually deploy it, but those are some of the benefits to the X10. So the purchase is, it's not cheap. It's a 5-year plan with Axon. Besides the tasers, every officer needs their own taser. We can't share because every officer, like their firearm, is assigned a weapon. And in this case, if the taser is used, it then gets downloaded or uploaded into a database. So part of this is a software that goes with it to show a lot of different data as to the trigger pull and the amount of voltage used and things to that nature. So every officer needs their own taser. The 24 tasers will outfit all police officers. And it also comes with virtual reality training, like a VR headset, so the officers will be able to train, which is a great new system. The software is included. There's a number of things included in the price tag. That's a bundle package. It comes with a bunch of holsters, things to that nature, so that's the overall reason for the cost. And my plan would be to get us on a cycle where we are staying up to date on replacing these every 5 years. So 5 years down the road, we would be back to ask, because currently we haven't been doing that, and that's why we're out a few tasers right now, so.
Hearing no questions, let's move on
Thank you.
to Article 21.
Mr. Moderator, I do have a question.
Yes.
When we go through the CIP articles, is anyone from financial planning or appropriations going to say how they voted on that?
Yes, at town meeting.
At town meeting? No.
Not today. I know it's hard, we're trying to just consolidate.
Okay, now how do I,
Was this confusing for everybody?
Well,
In the background.
I think it's engaging,
It was,
because you can see the drops here.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see how it
Gives
goes.
you something else to look at, right?
okay,
now you can. No, I'm not doing that. Oh, geez.
there you go. Look at that picture.
Look at that guy.
So if you want to play, just use that and just hit it right there.
Yeah, it's just, see, that's, now we gave it away. All right, good evening. My name is Bill Spazio. I'm the deputy. I'm currently acting as the fire chief while we search for one. I'll do this like I did on the video. So we have 2 articles up this year, both vehicles. One is our squad, which is a multi-purpose vehicle, which is what's behind me in that video. It's a 2015 Dodge Ram 3500. It's a multi-purpose vehicle. Back in the day when this was purchased, it was common to downsize and build things that could do a lot of things okay, but can't do anything really well. And over the years, the operational department missions, this doesn't meet it anymore. It's heavy, it's very limited in what it does, even though it's a multi-purpose vehicle. It also, there's a lot of rust and rot that's starting to come on the vehicle. You can see in some of the pictures here. One of the big figures are mobile radios, and the police chief talked about mobile radios as well. They only last for so many years, and the state requires mobile radios to meet a certain standard because they have to program all the radio channels interoperably across the state and nationally, so that really anybody, we could talk to anybody in the state of Massachusetts no matter what. So those right now, the ones we have in this vehicle, are beyond their operational use, and they don't meet the interoperable studies, and they no longer are serviceable. Some of the other things you can see in the picture there, actually this does work out pretty well. You can see inside storage there, so you can see the air tanks and the storage. Really, that's not a good practice, being in a passenger compartment, the loose materials. Also, they put their fire gear in that section there. There's the radios there. The contaminants that are in firefighters' gear, when they go to calls and stuff, they have to put it in there, and so now that's off-gassing when they're in the vehicles. So it's not a good practice to have that. Some of the rots on here. So with the replacement vehicle, the firefighters went through. So this vehicle was earmarked for $450,000 in the capital plan replacement. The firefighters got together, they went through the vehicle, tried to look at the operations now, in the future, what meets, what do we really need? And the vehicle that's proposed has been reduced down to $220,000. So more than a 50% cut. But it still meets our needs and actually better meets our needs. And like the police chief mentioned also, it's good to understand that that money is not just the vehicle. It's also the utility body that you'll see. The vehicle that's going to be replaced with is more like a DPW kind of utility body vehicle. A lot of cabinet space, but that'd be, the vehicle's $117,000. The utility body is about $35,000. The equipment and outfitting is about $30,000. We're going to put a skid unit, which means it's a tank and a pump that can go in it, but you can remove it, which gives us the opportunity to use it as a pickup truck, and during seasonal, we can take it out. That's what we're looking to replace it with. That is an example. But the other is the radios. So one mobile radio is $15,000. So this vehicle currently has two. We're going to downgrade it to one, because that's all we really need. So we're saving some cost on that. That would be the skid unit that's going in. And I think if we get through that, we'll look under here. All right. Oh, look at that timing. All right, let's go to the next one. No. Where's the, okay, he's coming. All right, since we're on that, any questions on the squad? No. All right. It actually did actually help a lot. I stand corrected. My apologies. It was all about that first picture. Okay. Oh, no, that's not me.
You go over.
No, that's not me. Hold on, that's not me. Right, okay. And then how do I play?
Oh, okay. It must not be that Kelly probably just didn't.
All right. Okay, so now we're going to just pivot. So welcome to the fire service, where you adapt and overcome like that. All right, so the other vehicle is Car 2 replacement. It's an SUV. It's we refer to it as a command vehicle. What this is used for is to run operations on the incident scene when it becomes more than just a small incident. You know, like police with the radios and stuff, we have to coordinate, and we have to operate across all boundaries of police, fire, DPW, other towns, so we need a command post to operate under that. The vehicle currently right now is a 2014 Tahoe. This was actually due to be replaced after 10 years, so it's been pushed off a couple. Going back to the squad, that was supposed to be replaced in fiscal '25. That got pushed off for other needs that we needed at the time. Again, this one more so than the squad has a lot of frame rust. To the point when we did financial planning, one of the questions was, is that still safe to drive right now? And yeah, it looks bad, but it can get through. It's got a roof leak. The four-wheel drive gets locked in place if you use it, so obviously we don't. Again, the radios are not compliant, and you'll find with this vehicle and the replacement, this vehicle was purchased before previous Chief Parenti was hired, so it was 2 chiefs ago. That chief put 7 mobile radios in this vehicle. So I don't know why we needed 7 mobile radios, but to replace 7 mobile radios at $15,000 each would be a little irresponsible. It also has the issues with storage that's unsecured and the items that are in it. So the vehicle replacement drivers is $55,000 for the vehicle, $20,000 for equipment, the command module in the back and the outfitting, and $23,000 for the mobile radio. So what this vehicle has is it has the mobile radios in the passenger compartment, and then instead of duplicating that in the back, they make what's called a remote head, which means you can put a head in the back where you can actually control the radio that's in the front. So that way you're kind of getting a radio and a half versus 2 radios. So obviously a cost savings on that. The new vehicle, again, staying in line with that. We're looking at a Tahoe, but listening to the chief, we're still open to Ford if that falls in. And boy, you know what? The video did help. So yeah, like I said, the cost savings on that. The one thing that I want to mention about all the fire apparatus, something that we've kind of done to be a little bit more responsible, is it was notorious for fire and police vehicles that when you traded it in, all the vendors knew they had you, right? So, for example, our apparatus, our fire truck that we purchased last year, we traded in, the trade-in was $10,000 for a pretty decent, used fire truck. Didn't meet our needs, but, still decent for somebody. So we went out and found this company, it's called Garage. And what they do is before, the town would have to take on the logistics, the liability, the time, effort, all of that stuff to try to sell something, put it on the market, and then get town council in, and then lemon laws and trying to warranty it, making sure it's safe, all for not much of not an increase in cost. This company obviously found the market to do that, so they kind of run you through all the logistics. They do all the background work, they advertise it, everything. All the fees that they charge are borne to the purchaser. And so that fire truck that we would have sold for $10,000 last year, we get $85,000. So huge increase. And so that money, because of procurement laws and whatnot, that money goes in the general fund, so it doesn't go directly to the truck, which is the only trade-off we would have to borrow for the 100% of the vehicle. But 80 goes in the general fund, which is cash. Cash goes to the capital or to the rest of the town. So there's a benefit there. So with these 2 vehicles, probably not the car 2, but definitely the squad, we would look to use that Garage thing again. And, we can estimate anywhere between, I got the number, anywhere between $40,000 and $60,000 versus probably $8,000 or $10,000. So big game changer. If you follow anything that's in the media and you hear about anti-trade lawsuits against the manufacturers of fire apparatus, so we're up against a lot of big companies that have taken advantage of post-COVID environments. They've become traded companies. So a fire truck that, I think they just recently said, a fire truck that was maybe 5 years ago, $800,000 is $1.5 million now. And a truck that used to take about 18 to 24 months to deliver is now upwards of 50 months. And the companies have been before Congress and they can't give them answers. So now different organizations have filed antitrust lawsuits. So we're not in the only boat with it, but the nice thing about these vehicles is they're not fire apparatus based, so we don't have to worry about that. Any questions? Okay.
We're now ready for Article 23. Mr. DPW. Thank you.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Distance, my friend.
Distance is good?
Distance is your friend.
All right.
Here it is, yeah. Okay.
All right, still Scott Charpentier, Public Works Director. I'll get some more distance to be my friend. This request is to fund replacement of the police station emergency generator. It's a $342,000 request. The generator is original to the building construction from 1988. It's located indoors. It's well past its useful life. The generator supports not just the police department, but also our emergency dispatch center. The generator was sized for the building use at the time. sizes have changed, electrical needs have certainly changed, as have codes. I'm pretty confident that the dispatch center today doesn't have the same level of electronics that the old one did, probably has a few more. Somebody has to charge their new tasers somewhere, I'm guessing. So this project will fund replacement with a code-compliant generator. It'll be located outdoors. It'll be supplied by diesel fuel. It'll meet safety codes as well as clearance codes. The old generator will be removed, freeing up some storage space that's well needed by the police department. The current one, as I said, is underpowered. These funds do include both construction, design, construction, and bidding services, and commissioning as well. Any generator questions? Is there an intuitive way to do this? No.
Of course not.
Okay.
Excuse me, can I ask one question?
Oh, certainly.
Why diesel fueled rather than propane?
I'm sorry, ma'am?
Why diesel fueled rather than propane?
The vast majority of our existing generators are either natural gas or diesel. Diesel is considered a more reliable, more stable generator. Propane poses another safety hazard on the site. It's a gigantic bomb next to a generator that we need, basically, so. More cost effective as well. Do I hit something? Nope. Okay. Well, Article 24 is a request to fund a one-ton dump truck with the repurposing. So this article supports replacement of a 2015 F-350. That F-350 recently failed its inspection. It has corrosion, as you would expect to see out of a 15-year-old vehicle. The reason for the inspection failure was due to the engine. The glow plugs in the heads are malfunctioning, and it requires expensive and extensive engine repair. We expect the vehicle to have approximately 7,000 hours at the time of trade-in. To put that in perspective, a general, citizen's F-150 at 150,000 miles will probably have 4,000 hours on it. So this sees a much more corrosive environment, and it's well past what my pickup's going to be when I trade it in. The new vehicle that we're proposing to purchase will replace the cemetery truck that's currently serving those needs. What we'll do is we'll buy a new truck, we'll put it at the front line, repurpose a kind of mid-level truck into a lower service line, and trade in the oldest one. So the new truck will come on, it'll have a cab on it to protect the cemetery burial equipment and materials. It'll have dual wheel, an F-350 dual wheel, which nearly doubles its towing capacity, which will allow us to move heavier equipment to the cemetery without needing a second piece of rolling stock to get the excavator there. The existing cemetery truck, which is a single wheel F-350, will be repurposed to a dump truck. And again, the last one in the line, the 15-year-old F-350 will be traded in.
Susan Sartori, 4653 Green Street. What happened to Article 24?
I don't know. Let me check the warrant.
You're good now, right? What's that? Oh, is that a different order? So you're on 25, not right?
24. I have it here as 25, so let me do that. Just gonna go backwards. Look at that. So Article 24 is to fund the purchase of a dedicated facilities van. This would be a new vehicle added to the fleet. We created a facilities division in 2023 with 2 dedicated staff members. Sean Thompson, our facilities manager, and as well as a new DPW employee whose primary responsibilities are facilities. That field staff member currently works out of a dump truck. It's a regular cab dump truck. His tools and materials are stored in a job box, one of those little utility boxes you see that are about yay big. That's how he goes from building to building to perform a variety of services. It's not like he's just electrician, just a carpenter, just a this. He's a jack of all trades. His duties include carpentry, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, HVAC, cleaning up sewage overflows, moving, whatever it is. And operating at that expansion of expertise and materials is awkward out of a small box and a dump truck. In addition, that dump truck has a spreader on it in the wintertime, so all of his tools and materials are in the passenger seat. Having a dedicated facilities vehicle that is outfitted to carry small parts, tools, filters, maintenance equipment and materials is important to the town. It'll increase efficiency. Having, him go to a location, determine what the issue is, go to the hardware store, go to the shop, get some tools. It's a very inefficient way to respond. For something predictable, it's fine, but most of the things we respond to are not predictable. So it'll increase efficiencies greatly. The biggest challenge is in the wintertime when it's snowing and he's out salting. When that truck is out salting and spreading around our parking lots. We literally don't have a vehicle and the tools, so we have to take it out of service and get another vehicle out there. So it's problematic. The request is for $97,000. This would be a vehicle, Ford Transit van. You see them, I think Northborough Oil drives most of them around. They're tall, white, a little bigger than a standard E350. It's a little bit taller than that. And it's a 350, so it's a 1-ton chassis. I think I'm back on the numbers here. Let me see. Yep. All right. Article 26 is a street sweeper. The request is for $325,000. This is to replace a 2011 street sweeper. We have two of them in service. One is a 17 and the other one is an 11. The vehicle is going to be approximately 16 years old at time of trade-in. The typical trade-in age for these vehicles is 12 to 15 years old. We're mandated by EPA as enforced through DEP to sweep all 81 miles or 160 miles gutter miles of roadway twice a year, every year, in accordance with our permits. One of the challenges with sweepers are, one, God bless you, their larger parts aren't generally on the shelf readily available. So in the event something difficult goes down, specifically in the hydraulics, it takes a while to get the parts. It takes 8 to 10 weeks to sweep all of town in the spring and again in the fall. Losing a sweeper due to a catastrophic failure would mean we're not compliant with our permit. Non-compliance with an EPA or DEP permit is not. It's not something I would suggest any client of mine subject themselves to, and I have all residents in Northborough as my clients. Having two viable, reliable sweepers is critical. There are communities that don't do that and they contract the services out. That can be done as an option. The 12-year lifespan of a sweeper, if you put that into contracted services, it'd be almost twice as much. The cost to sweep all the roads twice a year with contracted services would exceed $500,000. The option of borrowing one from a neighboring community in the event ours went down due to a catastrophic mechanical failure, that's not an option. We all do the same thing at the same time. It doesn't work. Everybody's doing the same thing at the same time, and nobody will give up their sweepers to us. We've spoken to some contracted service providers, and you generally have to commit to them a year in advance because they set their schedules up quite a ways in advance. So it's an important replacement piece of equipment. I appreciate any questions about sweeping streets. Yes.
Hi. I should have said this before. Julie Ann Hirsch, 19 Smith Road. So when you figured out the cost of using a contractor, did you figure out, because that involves personnel for many days, right? Was that calculated into the cost?
They give us, it's a per hour rate.
Yeah.
We provide the truck, they dump it into the truck, and then we truck it back to the shop. So we still have, the only thing we're saving is the staff member in the sweeper. We would still have a follow truck. When you watch Westboro sweep their streets, they'll have a guy with a backpack blower blowing off the lawns. They'll have the sidewalk machine with the sidewalk sweeper. They'll have the gutter sweeper. They'll have the lane sweeper. Then they'll have the follow dump truck. That's their sweeping operations. We have, in the downtown area, we have the sidewalk machine sweeper, no backpack blower, and then we have the gutter sweeper, and then we have the follow truck. So we use one less sweeper, and we don't use the staff member on the lawns. But that's a general practice. Some communities, they just have the sweeper and it runs back and forth to the garage, and that's fine if you're sweeping, you know, Little Pond and you're sweeping Ridge Road. But when you're up on Smith and you fill your truck up pretty quickly, it's a long waste of time to drive all the way back in a sweeper. It's not a fast piece of equipment. Hey, a video. All right. Do you want this, or? I don't know. What do I hit?
Bring it up to the red button.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right, there we go.
There you go.
Thank you. All right, so this is Article 27, the Assabet Hill Drainage and Roadway Project. This request is for $500,000. This is the second of 3 times you're likely to hear about this project. Last year at town meeting authorized $100,000 for engineering services associated with the project. Briefly, the Assabet Hill neighborhood is suffering from systemic drainage problems. The drainage pipes have broken in and around the neighborhood. It's resulted in a lot of sinkholes in the roadways. The sidewalks are in disrepair. The curbing is settling. The entire problem is directly related to the failings of the drainage system. Drainage pipe comes separated, material flows into the pipe, the material gets lost from underneath the road settles, you have the sinkhole. That propagates over and over and over again, same thing with the sidewalks. So the design services followed up after a 2019 video study of the entire neighborhood, found all the issues. The design services are underway now. This first phase, $500,000, the amount of that was determined through the financial planning meeting process. The first phase will address downhill and roadside elements first. You can't fix drainage at the top of the hill first because it'll be bad news for the downhill portion. This will be construction funds, and I expect to come back hopefully to town meeting next year to request the remainder of the funds. Right now, the total project construction cost is estimated to be $1.3 million. So the next ask would be 1.2, pending what civil construction escalations see over the next calendar year. Less questions than last year. All right, this is one everybody has seen before.
Use your cursor, bring it over to the right. All the way to the right. Yep. There you go.
Look at that. All right. This is an annual, what did I do? Did I miss 28? I missed 28, didn't I? That's why it's a mock, right? Article 29, drainage and sidewalk improvements. This is a reoccurring article. There has never been a dedicated Yes? I made a computer button mistake, and now I'm at 29. I'm sorry. I'll go over 28 quickly afterwards. It's been 10 years over and over again, kind of the same thing. But this one's a little bit different. So over many years, we never had a dedicated funding mechanism for drainage and sidewalk replacements and repairs. The operating budget does not include anything but emergency repairs. So a few years ago, yep, that's me. A few years ago, we started implementing appropriation through capital funding for sidewalk and drainage replacement and repairs. We've had a lot of culvert failures lately. Last year, $300,000 was approved at town meeting for drainage and culverts. Those funds went toward culvert replacements. You saw me leaning over a big pipe. That was at Church Street. We had 2 culvert failures last year, Church Street and Howard Street, both along the same waterway, Cold Harbor. The decision was made to do a cure-in-place pipelining as opposed to an open cut. The pipes were in a good enough condition to line it, not good enough, not so bad that you couldn't. So it's a much more cost-effective way of going about things. And if you look at the picture, I guess it's a little hard to see, but you'll see what the lining stuff is. It's kind of cool.
Frontier, Public Works Director.
You don't have to
I'm here
close
to
the
talk
road.
about one of the capital items for this
You
upcoming
coffer
town
dam
meeting.
off the water.
It's a drainage
You
and
slip
sidewalk
in
improvement
essentially
item.
a big fiberglass.
We have 75
structural
culverts in
tube
town
sock
in a
there, and you
variety of
inflate
conditions.
it, and you
This is one of
put
them
some
at Church
ultraviolet
Street,
light in there that
where we
cures
had
it,
some
and it turns
remedial
into
work
an
done
actual
last year
structural pipe
through this
component.
article
So
that was
that's
approved
what
at
the
last
culvert
town meeting.
looked like
The
when it
corrugated
failed.
metal pipe you see below
And
me
once they put that material in it,
deteriorated and
it's actually a
failed,
structural
resulting
lining.
in a
We've got
roadway
piece of it at
patch
the garage. You can
that
drive
lasted
over
for
with
a
a big
year.
truck.
We
directly
utilized
loaded.
cure-in-place
So
pipe
in
to
doing
line
that
the
as opposed to an
pipe
open cut,
without
we're
having
able
to
to
do an
save a
open
bunch
cut.
of money. We went
This
before the
material
select board with
is
the remaining
fiberglass,
of last year's
structurally
appropriation.
sound,
The
and does not
decision was
reduce
made to
flow
move forward with
capacity
some design
at all.
services
It's
associated
cured-in-place
with
pipe.
our
It's new
complete streets
technology.
prioritization plan.
It's better for the environment.
So
and it saves
this
the
year's
community money.
appropriation
We have over
could
32
go to
miles
a
of
culvert
sidewalks
if
in
we
town
don't have
in
any
a variety
catastrophic
of
failures.
conditions.
I do
The
know
one
there
you
is a culvert
see
in need,
is
Brigham
on
Street
Church
over by
Street.
the Juniper Brook Golf
It's
Course.
severely deteriorated.
It's similar. that
Runoff
it's
has
still
eroded
round,
the backside
and
of
you can
it.
still
It
line
poses
it,
an unsafe
but it's
condition.
deteriorating,
Certainly is not ADA
quickly.
compliant,
My
and it's an
hope is that we
area
can
that
get
warrants
done
correction.
And then supplement some more
This
sidewalk
article would
work
fund
with these
spot
funds.
repairs such as this and/or
Just a
longer
little bit.
standalone
We have
projects.
75 culverts, 290 drainage outfalls, 32 miles of sidewalks, 200 wheelchair ramps. Period. Sorry.
Just a quick question. How did we come up with $315,000 as the dollar amount that we're asking for?
It started at 300 3 years ago because that was what fit into the free cash plan that year, and it paralleled the roadway. We'd had $300,000 a year every year for roadway capital. It originally was 250. We got it up to 300, and we've been stable at that. Recently, we've started adding annual escalators to the sidewalk and the drainage. My hope is that our culverts stay in good shape and we can put money into sidewalks because we know we need it, especially in some of the neighborhoods. You know, we have nice neighborhoods and their sidewalks are suffering. I could do the roadway without the video. It's kind of same old, same old. So Article 28, the one before 29, the one I missed. Roadway improvement and maintenance for $326,000. Again, this has been escalated 5% over, approximately 5% over last year's funding. That's roughly what the civil midpoint and construction escalation is year over year. So this will fund, be a partial funding for roadway improvements in 2027. So our goal is to have a $1.1 million a year for roadway improvements. We do a pavement management plan every year. Every other year, we drive around and assess all the roadways. We're actually doing that again this year. From that, we identify what our roadway conditions are, where certain roadway treatments can be best applied. Our goal is to do a variety of treatments. We'll do full reclamation and repaving like you saw on Davis. Up on Cedar Hill, we did a bonded wearing course, which is a really thin layer of asphalt. We're doing rubber chip this year on Crawford and West. So there's a variety of different treatments we use to try to stretch the dollars as far as we can. Don't just fix what's absolutely the worst, but also maintain what's in decent shape. Our goal is to touch 10% of the roads in town every year. We have 80 miles, so 8 miles. And we have a regionality approach to it as well. I don't want to spend all the money, you know, it's not right to do that, all the money in Northgate over 3 years in a row. There's plenty of areas of town that need assistance with their roadways. One thing that was nice this year, Governor Healy put forward a $1.2 billion transportation bond bill for Chapter 90. It's a 4-year bond bill that includes $300 million a year, predictable for 4 years. In the past, all of the Chapter 90 bonds were single year, so you had no predictability with it, which is challenging from a planning perspective. This is 4 years of $300 million a year. So the increase is 50% of our Chapter 90 appropriation. We get about $500,000 a year in past years. This adds another $250 to it, $750. So that allowed us to remove $250 of paving budget out of the operating budget. So that was that change to 0.5% increase for town departments. And that's now predictable for 4 years. So it gives the town an opportunity to backfill if need be, or hopefully the governor will stay the path and whoever the governor is then. So we try to maintain our roadway PCI, pavement condition index, to 77. It has been around 74 to 78 since we started doing this in 2011. That's just your grade in school. We're solid C plus students with our roadways. And that's, I mean, I'd love to be a B student, but right now DPW is a C plus student with the roads. Yes, passing, that's what matters. All right, see if I can get to the right one here. All right, here we go. All right, this is the Hudson Street Bridge Design Service Request, Article 30, for $178,300. This bridge is located adjacent to 56 Hudson Street. The Massachusetts DOT started inspecting town-owned bridges, I don't know, probably 6 years ago. So we've been getting reports from them on this bridge inspection. The most recent bridge inspection here found severe deficiencies in the sidewalk, which is currently closed. The sidewalk reinforcing steel is non-existent. You'll see the orange barriers that are there, stopping pedestrians from accessing it. There it is. There's the underside of the sidewalk. The stones, the foundation stones, have cracked, and there are significant size voids in the walls. It's an old stone arch. It's dry joint with some masonry remaining. When DOT does their inspections, they'll get their chest waders on, and they'll have their walking sticks. And there's a photograph in one of the inspections, and that walking stick is about halfway into a void underneath the bridge. It's a critical bridge to get in and out of town. It's even more so with Whitney Street being out for the foreseeable future. One of the issues with the bridge is there's an additional level of investigation that's required. There are no records of it. We don't have any construction records. There are no design drawings. It's well over 100 years old, so we don't know what it is. We don't know if it's rock infill. We don't know if it's, granular infill. We don't know whether slab is there rebar. So there's quite a bit of a structural investigation into it first. And there's no hydraulic design documentation for the bridge. So we have to do a hydrologic and hydraulic analysis of the bridge. So there's quite a bit of investigation. This funding will go forward, and the result will be design recommendations on what remedial actions should be taken. The next step would be final design and permitting. For that, there is DOT grant funding to support that for $150,000. We actually tried that grant this year to support these services, but DOT indicated they fund final design. They don't want to fund investigation. That same program also funds construction up to $1 million the following year. So my hope for this project is to get approved for capital expenditure here. Next year, go to Mass DOT for $150,000 of design money and permitting, and then the following year, try to get $1 million to fix it. And then we can beat Mass DOT's timeline for fixing Whitney Street, which would be great. Yes, John?
Scott, I heard a comment from somebody in town about how we didn't get the grant, and the DOT is kicking this down the can, kicking the can down the street. That's just not a priority. I'd like to have you address that.
Certainly. So Mass DOT started a municipal small bridges grant program. It's a relatively new program, and unofficially, I think they want to see results as fast as possible. You either hand the bridge over to Mass DOT and say, I want you to do it, and then they do it, and the same caps apply to the design and construction, except we're responsible for everything above and beyond that. But you have to comply with Mass DOT's Chapter 85 design standards, which is not something the town wants to support. No one would ever recommend we do that. one way for a new grant program to garner some support is to show immediate results. So instead of giving us $150,000 to investigate the dam when documents aren't available, they'd rather see the 150 and say, look at this, we supported the design, now we can support the construction, and we've just completed a project. It looks nice.
I guess my question is, this is critical, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're well aware of the critical historic nature, response time, needs, impacts that Whitney Street Bridge outage has on us, as well as the important utilities that are hanging off of this. And it's a cold water fishery.
John Rathko, 105 Weston Terrace. I understand from the MassDOT report that that bridge is 1900 vintage.
Correct.
How many cars a day approximately go across that?
4,200?
4,200?
Yeah.
Okay, so the closure of that would be significant impact to services such as police and fire.
I believe the people on River Street would be very upset.
Okay, thank you.
These are going to be exciting. All right, I'm going to put two articles together for just technical narration purposes. That's it, and I'll be quick because I've been yapping a lot. Articles 31 and 32 are sewer and water pipe rehabilitation requests. $380,000 for sewer, $400,000 for water. So the Forbes Road Industrial Zone, when it was built, the Forbes Road was built. There's a sewer pump station at the end of Forbes Road. That sewer pump station has a force main that goes down behind 290 Cloverleaf, where 290 and Solomon Pond touch each other, and goes up and connects up to a manhole on Solomon Pond. Waterline does the same thing. When you go through the low-lying areas adjacent to the 290 Cloverleaf, the soils there are incredibly corrosive. They put a lot of salt. It's a location where when the pipes went in, they should have been wrapped in high-density polyethylene sleeves. They were not. The developer did not do that. Regardless, the conditions they're in now, they're incredibly brittle. It's a chemical reaction that happens with cast iron pipe when it's exposed to highly corrosive, specifically salt-laden soils. The carbon changes into a graphitization process that makes it incredibly brittle. We had a pipe break out there. You got the piece of the pipe out. You can do sketches on a piece of white paper if you wanted to. And it doesn't get better. You can't fix it after it's done. Both pipes are suffering from it. They're both the same vintage. We did some test pits to take a look. We sent them out to a metallurgy lab. They've confirmed what our findings were. So we're proposing to do a very similar process as I discussed about the culverts, cured and placed pipe. So you dig a couple launching pits and receiving pits so you can get into the pipe. Instead of putting a big, short, round sleeve in it, you put a really long, skinny one in it. Then you do the same thing. You inflate it, you cure it, you cut the holes in the ends. This is incredibly easy compared to doing it in like down Davis Street or something, because Davis Street, you got all the sewer services that are coming in, and you got to go back in afterwards and bore out all those holes. Same thing with the water services. It's much more complicated. This, not a single service. You leave Forbes Road Pump Station, you get to Solomon Pond, you're done. We would do both these projects in conjunction with each other to save money on design and bidding services and construction administration. Also, there are some collaborative procurement groups that we're parts of that we can go through in order to obtain more of a design-build project, which again saves funds. Be aware that both of these projects are enterprise fund funded, so there's not a single dollar of tax not a single tax dollar going toward them. It's 100% supported by the ratepayers. All right, one more damn article. Okay. Article 33 is the reservoir dam removal for $250,000. I'm wearing a different shirt. It was a different day. This is to help fund finally fund the removal of the Northborough Reservoir Dam. Quickly, Northborough owns a dam in Shrewsbury and Boylston. It used to be our drinking water supply. Serves us no purpose. It was taken offline in like the 50s. We were ordered by the state to either fix it or remove it. Serves us no purpose. It's way too expensive to repair, and it's a liability to own. So the decision was to remove it. We received a $180,000 grant in '22 to start the permitting process to remove this dam. That was supplemented by another $150,000 of enterprise fund money. This is all water, it's owned by the Water Division. So that work is done. We've got all the permits done. The design is complete. We recently applied for a $1 million grant from the same granting entity that supported the design services for removal. That grant mechanism requires a local match. That's what this $250,000 is. So every time the contractor gives it an invoice, 100 grand, we pay 20 out of our pocket, state pays 80, and that goes through the project. If it underruns, we spend less money, we spend less grant money. We don't get to spend the grant money first. They figure that out. So it took a long time to get to where we are, 6 years of permitting, but we're there. And we're ready to go out to bid as soon as hopefully this gets awarded after July 1. This is again 100% Water Enterprise Fund supported. And if we get a notice of award from the granting entity, the Office of Dam Safety, Dam and Seawall Program, then hopefully we'll start moving the dam come later this year. Yes?
Real quick, is that also a fisheries?
It is not. It is not. It's Rawson Brook, Rawson Hill Dam. It's a flood control structure, is upstream. It is not a cold water fishery.
And there's no chemical sediment in the pond behind it?
No, it wasn't a mill dam, it was a drinking water dam. But during the permitting process, we sample, test, and we qualify and quantify the sediment behind the dam. It's determined to be clean. In the old days, they'd make you dredge the sediment out and dewater it and then truck it out. Environmental studies have found dams like this starve the downstream reach of the river of sediment. So when you go downstream of this dam, you look and there's just rocks, there's no sediment. So you slowly re-entrain that sediment into the downstream section of the river, which allows, crayfish and little, whatever stuff likes living in the mud, to live in the mud, and it's not just bare bone rock. So that's actually an environmental improvement to the region. Thank you, Mark Ryder.
As long as that doesn't stick. Okay, we're on Article 34. If I go the right way. Did I?
Yeah, if you ever come over here, just go all the way to the right, give it a click and you're good.
Okay. Perfect. It's all yours.
So good evening, Greg Martineau, and I have the privilege of serving as your superintendent. So the school committee has four articles for consideration at this town meeting. The first article is $360,000 for surveillance and security system upgrades. And I'm glad I didn't wear the same tie and suit. So school safety is the priority of our district, making sure that our students, faculty, and staff are safe at schools. We have safety protocols. We practice very closely with our safety officials, police and fire. And an important component of safety is really around the technology and safety features we have that allow us to communicate, protect the perimeters of our building, and actually see what's happening around our schools. So again, this money is to upgrade our surveillance camera systems, our perimeter security, and also upgrade our radio communications. The second article, it focuses on classroom presentation systems. So in FY26, the town funded a portion of money to replace interactive presentation systems in classrooms in Northborough. So at the Melican Middle School, we replaced 30 presentation systems. They replaced outdated, inconsistent presentation systems in classrooms. This funding of $75,500 completes that replacement cycle at the Melican Middle School. The third capital article is the replacement of a rooftop unit at the Proctor Elementary School for $150,000. There are 4 units. One of the 4 units is non-operational at this point in time. It has a cracked heat exchanger that is not repairable, and this services the cafeteria and the gymnasium. So the $150,000 would replace that rooftop unit at Proctor School. And lastly, the most expensive article that is being moved forward is the Z-Roof recovery project. So the town of Northborough is partnering with the Mass School Building Authority. The Mass School Building Authority is a quasi-governmental agency. It is funded through 1% of the 6.25% sales tax that we pay. And it really has a trust fund that supports and partners with towns to replace schools. So as a core building project component, it also has an accelerated repair program to help towns replace roofs, windows, and boilers. We have applied to be part of the accelerated repair program on several occasions. And most recently, we applied and we were accepted into the MSBA program to replace the Z-Roof. The Z-Roof is original to the 1996 addition renovation. It needs replacement. MSBA is a competitive process. They do come out and visit the roof, the sites, and we're competing against other communities in the Commonwealth. And they do not accept communities and school projects unless there's a significant need. So the MSBA portion of the replacement of the Z-Roof will be 48.68%. So the total budget for the Z-Roof replacement before reimbursement is $5,583,152. The MSBA grant portion is $2.6 million, and the total net cost to the town is $3,084,147. And just to note, MSBA does require the approval of the entire amount of the project. However, the bonding portion of the amount is that the $3,084,000. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Hearing no questions, we'll begin with the CPA articles. And Article 38. Mr. Campbell, how are you?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Oh, no. You're going to show me on video? Just do the 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, I'm John Campbell. I'm here representing your Community Preservation Committee to present the projects that the committee voted to recommend bringing to the voters at town meeting. Briefly, as a reminder, the CPA projects are funded by a 1.5% surcharge on property tax after deducting $100,000 of value and certain senior exemptions. And then those funds are put into our new revenue pool each year, and it results in a state match, which has varied year over year. But Northborough, in the history of CPA here, has been lucky to receive over $3.6 million in state matching funds. This year, the committee is working from a budget of roughly $1.8 million. It consists of about $1 million in current reserves. That's monies that in our unreserved account, primarily, with a small amount in the historical reserve, and $870,000 of projected new revenue coming in. So those monies will fund in full all of the projects that we're recommending at town meeting without any need for borrowing outside of CPA, without any need to use any free cash or implement any other of the town initiatives you've heard tonight. The committee received 3 applications for funding, and all 3 we felt not only met the state's criteria, but our own criteria in town for the individual categories, and they all had a high degree of community need. In addition, interestingly, all three projects shared a common goal. In each case, they seek to rehabilitate an existing town asset and make it safer and more durable for use by Northborough citizens and visitors. The first of those is a request from the Northborough Historical Society. That is Article 38, and it is for $212,760 for the restoration of 23 windows and the replacement of 15 storm windows. By the way, you're looking at the videos, and I want to thank Kaylee Olson of Northborough Media. She did a great job putting together the videos on each of the articles, and in particular in CPA. If you don't know where to find them, go to YouTube, search Northborough Media, and they pop up in the video section of the channel. But in each case, they go through in a little more detail what the article's about. Great thing about the video, which you see behind me, is it starts to show close-ups of the deterioration of the windows. These go back decades, if not over 100 years, and have not been replaced. To replace anything historic on a historic building, you've got to follow state guidelines about how to repair it, what materials to use, how they're installed. And they found a very good vendor that will take the windows out, actually, provide the repairs, bring it back and install it in compliance with all those guidelines. One of the great things about the application was that they started with an application of $331,000 and were able to bring it down to $212,000. So they worked very hard to find a better price and better quality and reduced what we had to use in our reserves. Article, is it okay if I talk through the video? Can't advance it, right? Can you, is there a way to fast forward it?
It won't let you do it while it's
It's
playing.
just a long time to let it play out, right?
Yeah, yeah. So just bring this over to the right. Just give that a press. There you go.
Great, okay, thank you. Very good picture. So the next project was brought to us by the Northborough Schools as well as the Northborough Softball Baseball Association. Hmm? Oh, sorry, that was stupid. You got me again. You don't want to see that. You want to see the good stuff. All right, well, eventually you get some pictures, and you'll see Aaron, who's the presenter of the article. At any rate, the ball fields at Melican are in really sad shape, and they haven't been utilized very well for quite a while. So this project will seek to restore the infields of the baseball and softball fields, and more importantly, replace the dilapidated fencing, which has bricks sticking out all over the place, very unsafe to play around. Install new benches and install new dugout enclosures. Here again, the applicant worked very hard to bring the cost down by $40,000. So the project request is $227,100. And once again, strong community support. The rec department loves the idea. This will let the fields be utilized by not only the school's own teams, but community groups in town. Obviously, the Northborough Baseball Softball Association, the Baseball Association, and other recreational groups that play softball there and used to all year long. Important reminder, CPA funded the lighting that was improved at Melican Field some years back. So that was both for the football area as well as for the baseball fields. And you got me again.
That's touch screen. You can just touch the screen where the play button is. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, I was trying to do what Dana showed me to advance it. I did it. Okay, Article 40 is for the Blake Street Park Improvement Project. And here again, our applicant manager, Lori Connors, was able to bring the initial application down from $850,000 to $783,900. And once again, I emphasize that the project could be completely funded by our CPA reserves and some new revenue. So this project is a very small step in downtown renovation that was supported by our master plan. It's important to remember that the taxpayers voted already for 2 different consultant studies. Select Board approved a consultant study for this project. So we've invested a lot of time and money already in the concept of downtown revitalization, and this gets us one small step closer. The project starts with major reconstruction under the surface to improve the drainage systems that will then reduce all the puddling, and ultimately, when it's resurfaced, will make that more durable, reduce the chance that the parking areas and so on will look like they do today. Once again, you're looking at me, and you don't want to do that. Once resurfaced, the project includes landscaping, plantings, importantly includes new ADA accessible sidewalks and parking spaces. It will resurface those areas. It will include park furniture. It will include a pergola area. And the idea is to create a pleasing space where people can easily access, people can sit and enjoy the area, and improve the look of that centerpiece in town, which brings more people to downtown, makes it safer for youth and others that would visit, and encourage more businesses perhaps to open up things in town. Although at town meeting, I will speak to the 4th article, which is on affordable housing. I want to mention it briefly now. Article 41 is for proposing $87,000 to be put into the Affordable Housing Reserve. This is the minimum 10% required by law to put into that category. But as I do every year, it's important to note that our continuing to fund affordable housing is vital in town. The need does not go down. There are, let me get this straight, 137 still on the waiting list, just Northborough families and individuals. 47 of those are veterans. This is not to mention the 26,000 on the waiting list who've requested properties in Northborough. So our CPA projects make a very tiny dent in that, but we've been very successful using the reserve account in conjunction with the town voting to put money directly into affordable housing through the Northborough Affordable Housing Corporation. And that's what's helped us produce the units at Center Drive, on Main Street, on Boundary Street, and ultimately soon the new building in Village Square. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that, and we will at town meeting as well. I was told I only need to do those, so the last 2 is basically the White Cliffs bond payment, and finally the administrative account for CPA. Any questions?
What a quiet group.
Everybody's asleep.
Oh, that's what it is.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Okay, thank you. We're now on 44?
44, correct, yeah.
Oh, come on.
Oh, you can, oh,
There we go.
there we go. Okay, this is Article 44, to lease or sell for West Main Street. Some of you know it was our old town hall adjacent to Blake Street. Back in February, the town went out for a request for proposal. We put it out to lease or sell, hoping to sell. We did come back with 2 respondents that were interested in the property for sale. One was El Zahar Market and Lofts. They're proposing a mixed-use concept that includes a restaurant, bakery, retail shop, residential units, shared co-working lounge, and office suites. And the second proposal was from NRB, who's proposing a concept that includes restaurant, retail space, an escape and virtual reality room, community space, residential units, and office and other collaborative workspace. Both proposals need to have involvement with past projects that we will look at and make sure that they have a true investment, they know how to rehabilitate, and they have strong financial backing. So at this stage, no financial decision has been made. Negotiations have not begun. What we aim to do is take this to town meeting. So the article will allow the select board to continue negotiations, determine which proposal or whether either one of these proposals are right for the town, with the ability to also discontinue negotiations and reopen the request for proposal process if the select board feels as if it's not in the interest of the town.
So this is just a question that I anticipate will be asked by the people who are not here tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Last year, the select board asked to do very similar for the Whitehurst property. And at town meeting, it was decided and voted on that you could not take the final step without coming back to a town meeting.
Correct.
In anticipation that that might happen with this, do you feel better prepared to convince the town body to not need that additional step, or are you anticipating that additional step in the future?
I'm anticipating it, and either way, whatever the voting body feels is the more practical way to go. It doesn't negate negotiation. We can continue to negotiate. The only fallback is that would have to come back for another town meeting to dispose of property, which has a financial implication, of course.
And as far as what you currently know about the two offers, they are amenable to that not happening as fast as they might like.
We'll see. Like I said, negotiations have not even begun. We just received the responses March 30th, had to do the evaluation process. Yeah, and we met with the select board. We had an open meeting, we had an executive session, but that's as far as we went with the project.
Because I do appreciate that one of the select board members, Mr. Ray, said that you don't want to feel rushed. So what you're coming
Right.
for, so I'm happy to hear that what you're going to present at town meeting is in anticipation of being asked for another town meeting by the body, or are you going to volunteer that you're not going to sign, seal, and deliver anything without a second go-round?
Well, the way the article is stated, it's asking for permission for the board to negotiate and then be able to dispose of the property if they feel it's in the best interest of the town. They can vote no, like I said. It doesn't negate the process of the negotiations.
Right, so I guess what then I would suggest is to be prepared for a motion to, whatever it is that we did last time, to say you have to come back again.
Yep, and that's fine. If that's what the voting body wants, then that's what we'll do. And at least it'll give us a platform to tell people about the RFP and just give a little bit more information.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Susan Sartori. Talking about anticipating, the Blake Street project, if it should pass, do you foresee any problems? Because I did read that one of the people that has put forward an RFP was looking at 12 parking spaces. Will you be kind of sorry that you don't have that area to work with in that negotiation?
I mean, of course, they both would have to work with each other. I'd need to see how quickly the negotiation, how aggressive they are with rebuilding for West Main, or how aggressive, if it were to pass Blake Street, they are to restructure the Blake Street parking. But it depends on, yes, enough. For instance, one of the proponents needs at least 12 parking spaces. It's 2 per residential unit. And then you have the businesses that will have to have people come and go for restaurants, for retail, so it could impact.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to clarify that the municipal parking on Blake Street is 45 parking spaces. So 12 parking parking spaces could easily be allocated to that building within the municipal parking lot. And the Blake Street project does not propose to touch the vast majority of parking spaces.
And that's a good question. How, if they're gonna put housing in there, how close is that parking for people that are gonna be bringing groceries in and out of their apartment building? And what does that mean for that?
It wouldn't, parking spaces aren't gonna change location, so the existing parking spaces that are there today will be there tomorrow. So it's just a matter of discussing which parking spaces they want. I don't think it's been defined in the RFP which parking spaces they want.
No, it was just the number.
Yeah, so there, like I said, there are a total of 45 parking spaces, so.
Okay, thank you.
Hi.
John Kemp. I wonder why can't these two things work together for the benefit of all? I wonder why there needs to be anxiety about how Lake Street improvement, again, through the CPA, would in any way be detrimental to an applicant and a future resident, occupant, I'm sorry to say, of 4 West Main. And I'm sure that if the voters do agree that it's a good project funded by CPA, that town planner, select board, staff could work together in adjusting it a little to the particular occupant that the town might choose to work with. So I just want to put that out there, that I don't think that plus or minus 1 space, I think we're adding space, but that there's no reason why the two things can't work in concert together.
Yeah, and once we know more from the proposers, then we could fine tune that. It's plausible it could work together.
I mean, the scope and the budget of what can be achieved with the funds asked for on Article 40 are fairly well laid out, but it doesn't mean adjustments can't be made as long as they don't increase cost, or maybe even the occupant wants to add something to it, but it doesn't mean that something can't be flexible in regards to how it looks. And I think the question on parking has been well answered. The space doesn't change. The parking spaces that are available in all the other town-owned municipal area are not going away, and this project really doesn't detract from parking. So I continue to promote that I think it could be an asset and helpful to both the town and the occupant.
Thanks.
Hi, Julian Hirsch again. So are you saying that CPA would be willing to wait for the proposal?
No.
Before you start construction on Lake Street?
Well, timing is a different question that the CPC does not have any impact on. Nor do the voters aren't voting. The voters aren't voting on the timing of it. My committee is not involved in it. So I don't think I can answer the question.
Oh, because I think what you said is something that a lot of people are hoping would happen, is that the two projects would work together, but that would mean that the article would have to stipulate that.
I'm not saying that it's not possible, but it's not what I meant in my comments per se, because the budgeting and if it's approved, the timing to go out for bid, the timing to begin work, seasons, things like that, affect when construction can take place. And so I can't say if timing can be extended or not. That's not what I meant. I meant more about being open to suggestions if there happened to be an RFP respondent who wanted to step up and the town wanted to work with that person. Because nothing's happening using CPA to renovate the park, as I'm suggesting, as well as to reap the benefits of hopefully this occupant of floor was made.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think if we have the discussion on timing for both projects, we'll be able to see if there will be issues. Hi.
Hi, Jacob Jones, 106 Green Street. First is more of a comment. I really thought the videos in general were a helpful addition. Possible suggestion if there's time between now and then, I know this is a bit of an ask, but if maybe some additional editing could be done just for the town meeting parts. Some of the presenters I see were a little uncomfortable watching a bunch of them talking in the video while they're talking. Maybe if those parts could be clipped out, and we just get to the parts with the images that are more supportive and show people what we're talking about rather than watching someone muted talking. They're beautiful in the pictures, they look fine, don't need to be embarrassed about it, but it's less helpful. That's just an idea.
Scott says he's getting all red.
Second one is a little bit of a different topic, but related. I just want to make sure, if I'm correct, that it's clear that the proposal for the repaving, the Blake Street CPA project proposal, doesn't propose to fully repave all of the parking spaces, and I understand the reasoning why, but I just want to make sure that, if I'm correct, that it's made clear, and hopefully in the presentation, otherwise you might expect someone to ask this question that prompts this information, but like the area of the current parking spot over where the collection bins are, let's just say.
Yeah.
As my understanding is that area isn't proposed. To repave that would require separate appropriation from.
Correct, the town.
Location.
The town, right now,
And
yeah.
I'm not trying to make an argument about it, just to make sure that everyone understands that that isn't part of this proposal. That'd be my
Correct,
suggestion.
yes.
Jacob, just to be clear, the presentation will include appropriate mapping. I want to be really clear about the delineation of what's included, kind of where the boundary is. I know it's not a perfect world, because if you had the money, you'd repave everything, make it look pretty. But we do want to make that clear. I know it's come up a couple of times. What will be resurfaced is primarily the area disrupted to do the underground construction for the drainage, and then you blend it as best you can. But I think you make a good point. Thank you.
Chuck Wildestrand, 10 Colbert Street. I was wondering if there's ever going to be a tour of 4 West Main Street.
Yes, we can do that. Let me think when. Can we wait until after town meeting? I'll be more than happy to bring people around.
Just like you're doing for the White Cliffs. I just see a 5-story building there, and I hear that there's not the square footage for the current, for usage for the current town hall.
For the current town hall, yep.
And that is a building that has an inner steel skeleton that has not been completed. So it seems to me that it would be, it's not fully been built out, so it should be easily reconstructed. In other words, you could have a blank slate and design a town hall the way you want. And if you've got 5 possible floors, and theoretically, a much better structure than the current town hall.
I think we need a tour, because
Well,
it's,
no, there's many, many things that I don't understand.
Yeah.
But I see 2 buildings that need to be totally reconstructed.
I wouldn't say our existing town hall right now needs to be totally reconstructed, new carpets, new paint, but we're okay.
Ideally, it's a very expensive building to remodel, and, you know, it needs, I don't know, I would just like to learn a lot more about it before we dispose of 4 West Main Street. I mean, it is the center of Northborough. You know, just a question if we could have a tour.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because once you sell it, it is gone. It's not like we're making payments on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some possibilities we've looked at, and I think with all Lori Connors is trying to do, I think all these add and are possibly a reason to keep 4 West Main Street. I'm not, you know, I certainly don't like the architecture. It's not my choice of style, but, you know, it is the face of Northborough. And when you look at places like Marlboro, and everybody's just tear everything down, and I don't know, to me, it's, you know, just a possibility. I mean, it's, right now, I think it's a foregone conclusion. You know, that could be a McDonald's in 20 years. I don't want to see that. Once we sell it, you know, we have no control over it.
It's true, yeah.
That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yep. Yeah. Is there anyone speaking on behalf of the donation bins? We can skip it? Okay. Okay.
So now we're at 47.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, 47. Okay, Article 47.
Okay, so this is the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission trade-in of on-premises wine and malt license to alcohol license, to all alcohol license. So this article would allow the town to adopt a 2025 state law permitting certain on-premise beer and wine license holders to apply to convert their license to an all-alcohol license. So for instance, if they just had wine and beer, this would give them a liquor license. The new all-alcohol license would be non-transferable and would not increase the town's total number of available liquor licenses under the state law. The reason why the town allowed this is because many towns either have no more, I think we have a total of 5 left for all alcohol licenses, which is concerning because there's, you know, 4 West Main, who knows what's gonna happen with that. The White Cliffs, they need all alcohol license, so we're getting close to, you know, our threshold. So this would just allow for people that have beer and wine to not have to take from that pot and be able to expand to an all liquor. If they sold the business, it wouldn't go with the new party, though. Any questions? Okay, you're up.
Article 48, Commercial Vehicle Parking Bylaw. See if the town will vote to amend Part 9 of Northborough Town Code 9-92, parking, by adding a new section 9-22040, as shown below, or take any action relative thereto. Basically, this amendment is, we're looking to establish a commercial vehicle and trailer parking prohibition. Oh my gosh, it's getting late. Looking to establish a no parking zone for tractor trailer trucks on Bartlett Street. That was easier. So Bartlett Street, has come before town meeting before for a couple different issues. With the robust industrial warehouses up there comes some problems, some issues, specifically tractor-trailer trucks. It is a heavily traveled road. It is a connector to Southborough that our students at Algonquin use every day. Right now, the problem is tractor-trailer trucks have created a quote-unquote rest area where they wait for their deliveries or their pickups at those warehouses that are up there. So any given day, if you drive along Bartlett Street, there's a good chance you'll see multiple tractors or tractor trailers parked off to the side of the road, waiting for their pickups. We're looking to establish a new bylaw that would prohibit tractor trailer trucks from parking there, with a fine amount of $100 for a first offense and $300 for a second offense. Police right now, enforcement's difficult at the moment due to lack of signage. My officers do not want to cite somebody because there's no signs. The truck drivers don't know they can't park there. We've put up signs, they've come down. But currently, the area where we're talking about is directly across from the two major warehouses that are up there. It's a cutout section of dirt. We will, if this gets passed, erect signage with the language that fines, you could face fines up to $300. As the police chief who directs his officers to go out and do enforcement activities, I'm one who believes in educating drivers. An officer can educate that person without giving a fine as your warning, essentially. So there is leeway, there is discretion, but this would allow a second-time offender or a third-time offender would receive a citation of up to $300.
Is there a microphone?
Question is, should the fines be higher than 100, 300? That doesn't seem like enough.
We're prohibited by state law. There's a cap on it.
Chief, John Rapper, 105 Western Terrace. Have you had discussions with Amazon and/or FedEx and/or Dewey Pile and/or Lowe's Pro relative to initiating this, A, and then B, how has that, or will that drift down to their drivers?
Great question. I've had multiple meetings with all those companies you've just mentioned, going back a couple of years. I have contacts in my cell phone if there's issues. For most of these drivers are subcontractors who do not work directly for the company, so it becomes pretty difficult for those companies to enforce it. They've worked with us to the best of their ability, I believe. Amazon is actually purchasing about 6 or 8 new signs that should be going up now. They said they'd be putting up in the spring. So they're aware of it. You know, I've been working with them, as I said, for about 3 years. What we were seeing, and I'm happy to report, is we were seeing tractor trailer trucks from Amazon taking left-hand turns out of the driveway and impacting our town, right, our side streets. We've worked with them. We've worked with their drivers, signage, and we're not really seeing those problems anymore. They're taking a right-hand turn and going to Cedar Hill Road to get to 495. So that problem has, for the most part, gotten better. The parking, it is what it is at this point. There's just not a good rest stop for truck drivers in our area. The closest one is probably Flynn's in Shrewsbury, so that's 20 minutes out. And even, you know, obviously the Mass Pike, you have your truck stops. So these, you know, and I have a lot of appreciation for truck drivers. We really don't want to have to enforce this with a money fine. That's why we want to give that verbal warning. We'll document it, you know, and go from there. But, you know, they're just getting to their pickup spot a little too early, and that's why they're parking there. And Amazon doesn't really have the capacity on site to hold them. So it's a lot of communities are dealing with Amazon-related issues, specific traffic.
My impression is a number of these drivers are from out of the area, out of state.
Correct.
So, I mean, full disclosure, I have family members who are commercial truck drivers. Lyman Street makes sense, it's narrow. I happen to actually walk from my neighborhood to Lammy's on Bartlett Street, in the street, to have my car serviced. I've never actually seen one parked on the side. I see where the dirt is, where it looks like they can pull off to the side. I don't know why we wouldn't want to have them pull off to the side versus blocking that, so that then, if they are going to stop, they're going to not be in the street. But what is the difference between parking and idling? Because if they're in the car, in the cab, and they're idling while they're waiting for their turn, that's not the same as parking. Are they going to be fined or just asked to move on?
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean, parking and idling, right? It is two different things, but, and if the truck is idling, what we're seeing is a lot of them are not actually seated in the cab, they're probably sleeping. Again, I understand why they're sleeping, and I don't want to put a tired truck driver out on the road. Unfortunately, we just don't want a truck stop or a rest area on Bartlett Street. So we could potentially, you know, whether it's idling or stopped, parked, that's enough for us to knock on the window and say, hey, listen, you can go down to Flynn's, park over there, and give them some alternatives. There's just not a lot of alternatives for a lot of these drivers. Thank you.
Just do it, I'll wrap. Okay. Okay, we have accomplished our goal, and we've gone through the articles, and hopefully it was an enlightening and educating experience for all of you. I ask, come see us in 2 weeks, and you know, see the real thing, and see what it's all about. But thank you all very much. It was, everyone listened to everyone else, and I didn't have to threaten anybody. That was fantastic.
I just want to remind people, we have an open house for the last time, April 16th, 12 to 2 p.m., for White Cliffs. And just quickly, I want to thank the school department, department heads, appropriation, financial planning, select board, everyone, my office, the girls have been amazing, Angie and Diane, the assistant town administrator, and like I said, Jason, little rock star. Thanks so much, everyone. Yeah, I know, and thank you.